I don't know about Park, the league form. We've lost our last game. We won the one before that. We want to win every game that we play. And Luton's going to be a tough competitor because they're going pretty well in the Championship. They're a good team. It's the FA Cup. We know all that comes with it. So pick a team to try and win the game and get us through to the next round.
Is the bigger concern for you at the moment the results or the performances?
I think they go hand in hand sometimes, don't they? And results are what you get measured on the outside. And recently we've not got as many points as we want.
You said before that you need to just block out the noise when you hear speculation regarding your future. When there's other managers' names, successors' names being bandied around, that must be difficult. How do you block out that noise?
I don't listen to it.
But when it's everywhere, it's hard to.
No, I don't. Well, I don't. It's only everywhere. If you want to go scroll through maybe social media or something, I don't do that. I come and do. I'm not stupid. Do you know what I mean? I know what the pressures that come with managing a top football club, but I only do my job, so it doesn't matter to me.
Is it any more difficult because of the fact you were a player at Chelsea for such a long period of time and you experienced firsthand how ruthlessly managers
No, absolutely not, because my career here as a player was fantastic and it's set in stone. And when I say fantastic, I'm not giving it the big I'm talking about the success that I was proud to be part of at the club. And the link I have here with the fans and the support I get from them is amazing. And I knew when I came into this job as a manager that can change the tone of it. You know, there are things that you can't control going forward. You do your best, and I'll continue to do that all the time while I'm managing the club because I feel the club. It doesn't change how I feel. Wherever I'd work, it's the kind of person I am. Wherever I work, whatever the club it is, I'll give my all.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you. Cheers.
John Southall, 5 Live.
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
As you mentioned, you've seen the pressure as a player from the other side of the fence on managers at Chelsea. How are you finding it at the moment? How tough a period is it for you?
The pressure's fine. Listen, you're obviously more happy when you're winning games. You know, I was more happy in November and October than I've been in sort of mid-December onwards. But it comes with the territory. I think you can look around the Premier League and you can see teams this season that have had problems, teams now that are having problems that we're not used to having problems. So for me, I just have to get on with the job.
I mean, you know the hierarchy at this club better than probably most people. Have you had a chat with them? Have you spoken to them?
I'm not going to talk about private conversations. So I played here for a long time, but the situation changes from being a player here 13 years to managing the club. So I have much more conversations with the hierarchy than I ever had as a player.
Do you think the new players you've brought in have been a bit surprised by the intensity of the Premier League? We saw last night with Burnley that any team can beat anybody else. Has that surprised them, do you think?
Well, I think some of the new lads have been quoted as saying that we've got the most physical and fastest league in the world. We feel that here, and I think it's pretty clear to see. So, when I talk about players needing adaptation, and we've seen great players need time in this league to kick in, especially when they're young, because they come to this league fresh, then it's very normal if they do feel like that.
And how much time do you think it will? I mean, it's a difficult question. Probably it will take to get the best out of this group. And you keep saying it's a work in progress. But I mean, how long do you think it is until you?
Well, what marker are you putting on that?
Well, this season, will you need another season next season until we see the best?
Well, I'm not going to sit and talk about next season. It will be a nonsense. Any manager in a job in the Premier League wouldn't talk about the next season because you can only worry about what's in front of you.
But I mean, will it take that long to get the full potential out of the new players to settle into the Premier League? And see
again, I'll ask you the same thing. What's the marker on that? What are you talking about to get someone playing? Like Eden Hazard did in the prime of his career here. What are you asking for?
Yeah. Well, this season, when are we going to see the best of the new players?
Well,
the question.
That's what we're working to. Yeah.
Okay. That's right.
Nick Kewell, PA.
Hi Frank.
Hi.
Is there any on the situation with Fikayo Tomori? How close is his loan deal to being completed? Has he gone up?
No confirmation as it stands. Yeah, it's not completed. So no, he remains in the same situation.
But in terms of what you've got with the guys, the guys you've got available, so some of the fans are perhaps a bit frustrated that Fikayo's not playing more at this point. I mean, could you just sort of? I know you've talked about it before, but can you just give a word to them about why it's not been the right time to have him in your team? Yeah,
because I'll have 5 centre backs and I can't do this job and expect to appease or please. Every fan will have their own opinions. That's football. what players you should pick or not. And when you're searching for consistency, or when we're in a long unbeaten run, nobody questions it. Maybe they do when you're not playing so well, but I have to pick 2 out of the 5, and those numbers don't always add up. Fikayo's a developing player, a very, very good player. I've seen him rise from arriving at Derby as a quite quiet lad and a good talent to being one of the best defenders in the Championship, and then an England international and a Chelsea regular. So I think his journey's been great, and whatever the next step, whether he goes on loan or not, he's going to be a top player, but he's a developing player too.
Liam Toomey.
Hi Frank, I wanted to ask a question about Pepe. At a time like this, when confidence seems to be low in the squad and lots of players individually seem to be struggling, how valuable is it to have someone else around the first team who, like you, had a similar winning mentality as a player and similar experience of good and bad times at the very top level?
Well, to be fair, Liam, I think if their confidence would be shot if they were to read some of the pieces that you write at the minute, because I read some of them, and some of the confirmation bias that you always reflect on games with, and it's like a sort of almost like a social media pundit to try and get a reaction in a negative way. I read the pieces when we were doing well as well, and they didn't go both ways. So I think for a journalist to be objective would be a big start, because if players do read it, I'd feel like that. In terms of Pete, I think his experience is vital for the club, that we use our experiences, because even in years that we were successful and we look back and we're holding trophies, there were tough moments in them, tough moments to whatever degree, and there's some really solid squads in those years as well. So we've been there before, we know what it takes to turn the corner, so we work together on that.
James, talk sport.
Frank, there has been some criticism, I guess, about the rotation of the squad, but when you look at how many players are necessarily making their spot their own, it only seems to be Edouard Mendy and Mason Mount, those 2 players that really merit their squad in each game.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that gets asked a lot, and you have a squad and you want consistency in selection, but players have to make places their own, as you alluded to. I don't just think it's those 2. I think there are other players at different times that have made it their own, and yeah, we're all working towards that, of course. There'll be times when you utilise the squad, there'll be times when you want to have continuity, but at the end of the day, we know that some individual form has not been at its best lately. So I have to make changes. If I didn't make changes, I think sometimes people will criticise that fact, so I just have to make the decision I see.
Some of the words you used after the Leicester game were slow, sluggish, and you said some of the players lack desire. Is there only so much you can do as a manager when you prepare your side for a game for them to put in a performance as they did? You sometimes feel a bit helpless at times.
I don't think, I'm not sure I said lack desire. If I did, then okay, but it was definitely slow and sluggish. I'll definitely hold it to that. And one of the things I think that set us out as a team last year was our energy. And that parts this year, and when we're on a good run, energy to beat Leeds, to beat Seville takes a lot of energy, and it's a part of a team that I feel proud when I put that out, that shows that. And we did it last year, and we managed to get to 4th position. So when I see it come off, I have to call it out, and we have to work it in training to get it better, because you cannot play if you don't run first. And I don't want to explain exactly what the reasons are for each individual, because some players are not at it on one day or whatever, so there can be a multitude of reasons for it. But as a group, we need to get back to the energy that we were finding and winning games.
And finally, for me, in terms of the pressure you're feeling now, how does that compare to being a player? Because ultimately, it does come down to the manager at times like these.
Yeah, I mean, I worry. My concern is not the pressure on me, because I can deal with it, because I've been in football a long time as a player at top clubs, so I understand how it goes, and it's different as a player. But the pressure needs to be positive on the players, because the players are what make you a good manager or not so good manager, and that can flip very quickly, as we always see. So it's important that the players don't feel that. I don't mind taking the pressure. The players have to feel a good pressure. They want to win games. They want to get some form back. You want to get, how quickly that form and results can turn in this league. We're seeing it now more than ever. So we just have to direct that pressure in the right way on the pitch.
Last question in this section, Nazar.
Hi Frank, a lot of the local fans seem to support you in the UK, and they're planning a banner to show that support. How helpful is that sort of to get the buy-in for the patience you need to get the group up to scratch, and do you feel that same sort of buy-in from maybe the dressing room that you probably need to help you through this difficult patch?
Well, like I said before, players will always make you a good or bad or in between manager. So I think you obviously have to have buy-in from the dressing room, because my opinion is that football is whatever percent tactics, but it's a much bigger percentage of environment and drive and positivity and desire and all those things that create the basics in football. So that's important. In terms of the banner, yeah, I really appreciate whether it helps or not, but I absolutely appreciate the fans that put together to create the banner. I think everyone who knows me or watch me as a player or watch me as a manager knows how I feel about this club. So I appreciate it very much.
We're going to have to move on then, Azar. So next section is dailies. And